Welcome,
to Angel in the Wiz.
To Angel in the Wiz, Angel in the Wiz, young and old, left and right. I think we're left and right on your screen too, aren't we? I think so. And we used to be in stereo. I don't know if we still are. But we're doing, new things. Now, this week we have something. Well, we laughed. We thought this was the funniest thing in the world when we put it on. I don't know if it's still funny or not. But instead of a song at the end of this week's show, we have Susie Blunderful, a special reporter for Wizard News. And she's going to go out on location and she's going to show you how you can decorate your home with no money down. And I thought it was a funny bit. This is part one. We have about 5 parts to it. We'll bring her back, not every week, but periodically. So, now I got these 2 emails.
Okay.
So, is there anything that you would like to start with?
No, I'm good.
You good?
My boyfriend still loves me, so all is good.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he does.
And he did good with mom and everything, of course.
Oh, yeah.
They're on their own way.
Well, we know my mother loves him.
Oh, okay.
From previous stories, so.
Okay, so everything's good.
She has learned to
temper her.
Keep a healthy distance.
That sounds so.
Now the hard part is my niece and nephew are asking questions, but they're honest questions. They're cute. Have you found a boy to live with you, or have you found a boy to stay with? And I'm like, what?
Right.
And I think what they're referring to. I ask them a couple. I'm like, well, what do you mean? What boy are you talking about? And they always refer back to my sister, my sister, and who. They were both in her wedding, so she had found a boy, and then they lived together, and then there was a wedding.
Are you going to do that?
So that's what they're asking me. I think is what they're referring to, because that's what they remember.
Right. Have they asked Adam yet?
No, they don't. There's my nephew will talk to him.
Right.
My niece, I think, likes him. She hasn't really interacted with him too much. If it's me, him, my sister, and brother-in-law, she will not go to him.
Right.
But if it's just me and him, she'll go to him.
Maybe someday.
I think that's just because mom and dad are around, and my mom and dad are not around. She's got 2 options for safety.
Right. Maybe sometime, if you feel like it's appropriate, you should get a picture of the 2 of you so we can throw it up on the show.
Maybe not.
Huh?
I have pictures of us, but...
Well, you never bring them over. Okay, now listen,
I
we
have
have...
to seek his permission first.
Okay, no, I understand that. I totally respect that. Okay,
but he still loves me. He has spent time with me and my niece and nephew, and he's extremely exasperated at the end. And I just look at him and I say, I know you came over because I asked you to, and you do it because you love me, and I appreciate that. So, but there's no ring.
No. Just checking. I got two emails. We didn't do any emails last week.
No.
Because we had a report from the young lady. These are one is funny, and I think
do the serious one first.
One is this is significant because it shows the bubble we've gotten into, and it shows how far we've strayed away. That
should say up until 1985.
Okay, well, whatever. We'll talk about it. This is really cool, and I have to read it, and I'll read it as quick as I can. But this is something that shows that it depends on how you look through your eyes and see the world. That's what's really there. And what this is about, and if those of you who got this email, please feel free to read along with me. A very different and interesting conclusion of the December 7th attack on Pearl Harbor. Tour boats ferry people out to the USS Arizona Memorial in Hawaii every 30 minutes. Now, while these people were waiting for the ferry, they went into a small gift shop to kill time, and they purchased a book entitled Reflections on Pearl Harbor by Admiral Chester Nimitz. Probably heard of the Nimitz aircraft carrier. This is showing a gentleman who had the ability to see past disaster. Here it is. On Sunday, December 7th, 1941, Admiral Chester Nimitz was attending a concert in Washington, D.C. He was paged and told there was a phone call for him. When he answered the phone, it was President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. He told Admiral Nimitz that he would now be the commander of the Pacific Fleet. Admiral Nimitz flew to Hawaii to assume command of the Pacific Fleet. He landed at Pearl Harbor on Christmas Eve, 1941. There was such a spirit of despair, dejection, and defeat, you would have thought the Japanese had already won the war. On Christmas Day, the next day, 1941, Admiral Nimitz was given a boat tour of the destruction wrought on Pearl Harbor by the Japanese. Big sunken battleships and Navy vessels cluttered the waters everywhere you looked. As the tour boat returned to dock, the young helmsman of the boat asked, "Well, Admiral, what do you think after seeing all this destruction?" Get this. Admiral Nimitz' reply shocked everyone within the sound of his voice. Admiral Nimitz said, the Japanese made 3 of the biggest mistakes an attack force could ever make, or God was taking care of America. Which do you think it was?" Shocked and surprised, the young helmsman asked, "What do you mean by saying the Japanese made the 3 biggest mistakes an attack force could ever make?" Nimitz explained. Mistake number 1. The Japanese attacked on a Sunday morning. 9 out of every 10 crewmen on those ships were ashore on leave. If those same ships had been lured to sea and been sunk, we would have lost 38,000 men instead of 3,800. Mistake number 2. When the Japanese saw all those battleships lined in a row, they got so carried away sinking those battleships, they never once bombed our dry docks, which is where you repair those ships, opposite the ships. If they had destroyed our dry docks, we would have had to tow every one of those ships to America to be repaired. As it is now, the ships are in shallow water and can be raised. One tug can pull them over to dry docks, and we can have them repaired and at sea by the time we could have towed them to America. And I already have crews ashore anxious to man those ships. Mistake number 3. Every drop of fuel in the Pacific theater of war is on top of the ground in storage tanks 5 miles away over that hill. One single attack plane, could have strafed those tanks and destroyed our fuel supply. That's why I say the Japanese made 3 of the biggest mistakes an attack force could make, or God was taking care of America. So, that's why America is an exceptional nation, because we've raised people like that. We've raised them in the past. We'll have to see what we can raise in the future, because now we live in the bubble. That's this one. You want to do it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So this is about the kids who survived the 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s.
Right.
So first, we survived being born to mothers who smoke and or drink while they were pregnant.
Can't do that anymore.
My mom actually... Sorry, Mom. I'm going to tell the truth here.
Oh, God. Can't go on
I
now.
know she smoked the first trimester she was pregnant with me.
Okay.
I also know that she used to go out into the garage and open the gas can of the car and sniff gasoline.
Okay.
That was some weird pregnancy craving.
Okay.
I was like, okay.
Or maybe the scent. Sure.
Maybe, yeah.
Okay.
They took aspirin, the pregnant women, they took aspirin, ate blue cheese dressing, tuna from a can, and didn't get tested for diabetes. Then after that trauma, we, as babies, were put to sleep on our tummies in baby cribs covered with bright-colored lead-based paints. I will have to say, I was born in 1980, July 1980. So yeah, my mom did all of that. Although I'm not so sure about the lead-based paint part, because I think it was kind of outlawed by then.
Yeah, that I don't know.
And play school toys were probably just coming out.
Right.
We had no childproof lids on medicine bottles, locks on doors or cabinets, and when we rode our bikes, we had baseball caps, not helmets on our heads. That is true. We might have had childproof locks on our cabinets on the lower
I can
end.
see a helmet on a motorcycle.
Yeah, I think on the lower side, because my mom ran a daycare out of the house after a while, so I think that she had to, by law of the daycare being out of the house, had to put childproof locks on the bottoms of the cabinets and drawers.
Right.
The bottom level.
These are all the things that you have to do, you can't do in New York anymore.
Right. We would, or Illinois.
Right.
We would ride in cars with no car seats, no booster seats, no seatbelts, no airbags, ball tires, and sometimes no brakes. My dad had a car, or his friend had a car, where they took the only official seat that was in the car was the driver's seat. They had, for some reason, removed all the other seats and put in lawn chairs.
Oh, God.
And I remember being younger and sitting in my grandparents' cars and saying to them, "Don't forget to put on your seatbelt," and they were like, "We don't have seatbelts in the car." and that at one point when they bought a car, it was like there was a novelty that it had seatbelts.
Right.
And then we would have to remind them to put on their seatbelts
Right.
every time. And then they didn't even really, they only did it when we as the grandchildren were in the car,
Right.
being young and naive, going, don't
Right.
forget to put your seatbelt on, Grandma.
Right.
Until then they were in a car accident. They got
Right.
sideswiped. And,
Right.
the doctor told them, if you wore your seatbelt, you would have avoided all of this damage to your face.
Well, and please don't get me wrong. I'm not suggesting that these improvements haven't been beneficial and haven't done good things, and we've learned good things. We've improved our health. We've done all that stuff, but it's different when you do it, as opposed to when you must do it by law. That's my problem. I'm getting
Right.
sick and tired of all of this government telling me to do this, government telling me to do that. I don't
Right.
need it anymore. I don't want it anymore. You know what? If the
Yeah,
government
there's-
believes in something, they should educate us why we should do it. They shouldn't pass a law that if you feel strongly enough about something, educate us. You don't think we're as smart as you, do you? All of you clowns in Washington and in the State House, you think you
And
know
that's
everything,
clowns.
and that's nothing.
Let me clarify. And we're talking, or were you just talking about clowns as Democrats or clowns as the entire government?
I'm talking
as a
about
whole?
clowns in general.
Okay.
No, not just Democrats. That was
Because
Bob
I
Hope's
agree with
line.
that. That some of the stuff that they're requiring us to do. That again, having my niece and nephew, I don't know all of the laws, and so
Right.
I'm constantly asking my sister.
Right.
Can my nephew ride in the front seat of a car?
Yeah, I mean, but
Is he
that-
old
that-
enough?
you
You know,
know.
only not because I'm a bad driver.
No,
I'm
because
not.
you
but
wanna
there's
do the
a bunch
right
of-
thing.
There's a bunch of other idiots on the road.
That's right, and believe me, I understand that.
So-
But all I'm trying to say is they go on law happy
They
rather
are.
than education happy. And the reason is because they think they need to pass a law for us to understand something they can understand. And they are just us in Washington. Okay?
Yes.
The people that are in Washington are the same people that are in Syracuse and Detroit and Alameda and every place else. Well, maybe not California, but every place else. You are no better than us. You are no smarter than us. And in many cases, you have proven that you are much less smarter than us.
We call that word dumb.
And
We're
yeah, dumb. And Pelosi, who should really be, like Rush said, on planet stupider because of the things that she says, the things that she believes. This lady should no longer be in Congress. She is past her gray matter age. I'm sorry, go back.
Okay.
Where
So, riding in the back of a pickup truck on a warm day
Yes.
is always a special treat. I think it, but you know what they shouldn't be doing is riding in the back of a pickup truck on a highway doing 80 miles an hour.
No, you're riding on back
Yeah.
roads. It's
yeah.
slowing us
Right
slow.
on
Yeah,
but
come on.
that's not what people do. And like, in some reasons, that's why, like, in some reasons, you have to pass those laws because we have idiots like that are like, well, you didn't tell me there's no law that says I can't. Well, if there's no law that says you can't, well, we're going to make a law that says you can't because you obviously are not safe enough
Well-
or smart enough or have enough common sense to not go on the interstate.
Well, all I can say is that
that's what, I kind of see both sides of it. I see
Well-
that, okay, there is some of the laws are pretty ridiculous.
and they should just
and
be
sh-
education.
and should
They
be
shouldn't be
education-based.
laws.
But then, on the other hand,
And you
you
know what
have
happens
some
when-
real idiots out
And you know
there.
what happens? They fall out of the truck and die.
Yeah.
And we don't have to worry about it.
Right, until their parents decide to sue everybody.
And that's another problem we have. We don't get to get to this week.
So.
Frivolous lawsuits. We have got to change the
That's
legal
annoying.
system. We have to make, if you bring a case and you lose the case, you got to pay some of the bill. The way it is now, there's no accountability. And all these environmental groups, do you realize that the
Education
environmental
gets a lot of
groups,
lawsuits, too.
environmental groups should have to pay for their own attorneys? They get money to bring these lawsuits. And as soon as you put money in the mix, hey, I could have a reason to protect the spotted nutmeg lizard because I can go down to the road and I can get money to protect the spotted lizard. Well, no. If you wanna be an environmentalist, you should have to put some skin in the game. That's where it's at. Go on.
Okay. We drank water from the garden hose and not from a bottle. We did that too.
Yeah.
I only did that in Chicago because there was filter. That was when we went to my grandma's log cabin up north.
Right.
We always had we always get the gallon jugs of
Right,
water from
right.
the store because she had well water and that stuff was nasty.
Whatever.
Or you can get the lake water and that was even worse than the well water.
Well,
We shared one soft drink with 4 friends from one bottle and no one died from this. I still do that. We ate cupcakes, white bread, real butter, and bacon. That is like my 4 favorite foods. Cupcakes, bread, butter, and bacon. We drank Kool-Aid made with real white sugar, and we weren't overweight.
Why?
That's true. Well, I can't do Kool-Aid anymore. I loved it as a kid, but now I'm like, it's too sweet.
Okay, but now follow up.
Why
we weren't overweight?
Why weren't we overweight? Because we were always outside playing. We would leave home in the morning and play all day, and as long as we were back when the street lights came on, no one was able to. We would play all day, and as long as we were back when the street lights came on, that was the rule. No one was able to reach us all day, and we were okay. We would spend hours building our go-karts out of scraps and then ride them down the hill only to find out we forgot the brakes. After running into the bushes a few times, we learned to solve the problem. We did not have PlayStations, Nintendos, and Xboxes. There were no video games, no 150 channels on cable, no movies, or DVDs, no surround sound or CDs, no cell phones, no personal computers, no internet, and no chat rooms. Excuse me. We did that. We played outside.
Me too.
We did.
You couldn't.
Yeah.
You couldn't really get heavy.
And and I feel bad because my nephew, I took him out. We have outside time every day. I try to do playtime outside every day, depending on weather and whatnot. And I have this stuff, and we were playing catch, and it was like a Velcro panel.
Yeah.
And I was teaching him how to throw a ball, how to step and throw something. And I finally said, after about 20 minutes of him finally getting it, I said, do you ever play catch with your dad? And he says, no. And I was like, okay. So I asked my sister, I said, does he ever play catch with your husband? And she says, no, but we've never had a backyard until now. And that makes sense. Like, they've lived in either an apartment or like a townhome where you don't, there really isn't a, multi-family home buildings. You can't really.
Well, let's say this. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt, but you and
I'm
I
still
both
like,
know
go to
you
a
could have
park.
found a place.
Yeah, like I'm like, you could.
It's called
go
doing
to
something with your
park.
child.
Yeah.
And listen, let me tell you
So-
something. I only have a dog, and I don't do as much with him as I should. And I know it, and I feel guilty about it. Okay? But I do. But we still have a catch, and we still go out, and he carries his little thing and everything else. I want to be at least an average good parent,
Yeah, and I was just like, wow, this is. So I think I might get them I might just get him and his father a
couple
glove.
of baseball mitts and a
just
ball.
like, here you go, play catch with your
okay.
son. We had friends. We went outside and found them. We fell out of trees, got cut, broke bones and teeth, and there were no lawsuits from these accidents. We ate worms and mud pies from dirt. I never did that.
Right.
And the worms did not live in us forever.
I never ate worms. I'm not into that
I didn't
stuff.
do that. I loved. My grandfather used to tell me if I ate too many marshmallows, they'd stick to my stomach.
Well, grandparents do that.
Or if you ate watermelon seeds, the watermelons would grow out of your ears.
Oh,
like
great.
you just.
Grandparents are like
And I have to tell you about my grandfather, the Potawatomis, like the Potawatomi Indians. My grandfather used to say that there's this. My grandparents owned this log cabin up north, in northern Wisconsin, and we'd have bonfires, and the adults would start drinking at like noon.
Right.
And, but there was always at least 10 adults, and there was 3 girls, and everyone knew where we were at all times. So we never were. I don't want people to think like, my parents are bad parents, get drunk and leave us abandoned.
No.
So, my grandfather, we'd have this bonfire, and everybody was now toasted except for the kids, and we're all like, we adore our grandfather, and we'd just be like, okay, what? And he'd be like, come here, I have a secret for you. And we'd get real close, and he'd be like, you see those fires across the lake? And we're like, yeah. And he goes, that's the Potawatomi Indians. And we're like, really? And he goes, yeah! In fact, this house is built on a Potawatomi burial ground. Shh, listen, and you can still hear them. And then he'd start doing, like, the stomping on the feet, going, hey, yeah. And we would just be like, no! Like, for years, and he was... Now, of course, on the other side of the lake was a bunch of other drunk idiots with the bonfire. Doing the same thing, probably saying the same stories back.
Right.
So...
You were there, Indians, yeah.
Yeah, so when I got older, I realized that he was lying, but...
He was telling you stories.
Well, we thought he was even lying about the Potawatomis.
Oh.
Until one time we were at, like, the local town's 4th of July parade.
Right.
And I'm not kidding you. Here comes the Miss Potawatomi on the parade. And my mom and I stop and we go, holy holy crap, they exist! And then, like, 2 years later, they had a Potawatomi bingo in Casino about 10 miles up the road. But, I mean, that was just, but we played outside all the time. All right, that was enough of that. Okay. We were given BB guns for our 10th birthdays, made up games with sticks and tennis balls, and although we were told it would happen, we did not put out very many eyes. That's true. We rode bikes or walked to a friend's house and knocked on the door, rang the bell, or just walked in and talked to them. I have done that before. Right. Little League had tryouts, and not everyone made the team. Those who didn't had to learn to deal with disappointment. The idea of a parent bailing us out if we broke the law was unheard of, and they actually sided with the law. That's true. These generations have produced some of the best risk takers, problem solvers, and inventors ever. The past 50 years have been an explosion of innovation and new ideas. We had freedom, failure, success, and responsibility, and you learned how to deal with it all. If you are one of them, congratulations.
Good.
I would have to say, because it says if you were born between 1930 and 1979, and I would have to change that to like 1985. I think right around the mid-80s,
right,
a lot of this thinking changed.
Right.
And it affected the people that were born in the later 80s and 90s.
Well, I can tell you that things have gotten,
but there has been a change. I recognize that.
And it's been a hideous change, and it's very important for us to go back to the individual. We have to have a successful election in November. That's as far as I'll go.
Thank you.
But we desperately need to get the country back because, and I've never...
I would tell you this. I was thinking about this today, too. Was where did such a political... what was the catalyst for such a political divide in this country?
Bill
Now,
Clinton.
it could have been... Yeah, and I was like, it could have been that I didn't really... Being younger, I didn't really start paying attention to politics.
Right.
Up until the Bush-Gore
right.
election.
Right.
So, and I think I started to take more of a note from that point on about politics. So it could have been in the forefront, but I wouldn't have recognized it because I was young and
and me
ignorant.
too.
But I remember what was the catalyst where it was like Republicans are Republicans and Democrat, like there's the extremists. I was even more so the extremists on the Republican side because that really seems
that's
to
the
have,
label. Do you know?
But that seems to have
he'll think
been
about
more prominent, and I could be using that wrong, but it seems to be on the extreme side.
Well, you see,
I've met a lot of
the problem
Republicans
is
where we've seen eye to eye, and then
as TV grew into our lives, most of the journalists in television are liberal.
So why do you say it was? You said Bill Clinton.
Well, I said, I'm gonna get back to that. Okay, and so the liberal ideology that they just accept became mainstream, even though we're not. We are a center-right country. We are a conservative country, basically.
We are.
And one of this one thing I laugh at. Do you know that it was the Republicans that passed the Civil Rights Bill for Black Americans? It wasn't the Democrats. The Democrats voted against it. You couldn't have passed it by the Democrats, and yet the black folks have a tendency to vote for the Democrats.
Like that's what I mean.
It's like it's been turned upside down.
Yeah, like when did that? When is exactly when was the point when?
Well, it's when you control the news flow.
Working together to working.
Okay, as people began to use television more to communicate, they started to learn that they could spin the message. And the reason I said Bill Clinton was the first real example of it was, and let me tell you something, did I ever think there could be a worse president than Bill Clinton? Hey, have I learned my lesson? This guy hates America. Obama hates America.
Okay, go back to your story. Okay, we don't have a lot of time.
But okay, the point. Oh yeah, that's right. Why don't? What happened when Bill Clinton ran for president? We started getting this personal attack. They wanted to win, and the Democrats really started to attack personalities, not policies. They couldn't win on policies, so they started doing personal attacks. And the Republicans, as far as I'm concerned, just laid down and took it. Okay, I mean, I've been waiting for somebody with some backbone to come up. That's why I love Mark Levin, because of the way he talks. He shows passion and compassion. He gets mad and he gets upset, and when people are evil and stupid, he says so. He doesn't pussyfoot around.
I'll tell you this: that I am an independent, truly an independent.
And I believe
there
that.
are things that I tend to side because you can't really. It's so hard to get a good independent person in
Right.
office because
Sorry.
when they say independent, they truly are. But I'll tend to.
Why do you
side,
think you can't get Sarah Palin? Because she attacked both
But
sides.
I tend to side more with the Democrats, and I said that before, because of their education policies, because they are truly a better policy than what the Republicans are. Because
Well, the way it's been sold to you, that's
way
how
that
it
it's-
is.
yeah, and I've done some
and there's a
research on it.
and there's a
But,
lot
the
of that.
last Republican in office passed the No Child Left Behind law, and that has its good points, but I'll tell you, it also financially straps a lot of schools.
Okay.
Just
So
in
does
the
the
learning.
NEA.
Right,
Okay.
right. But the policies that the NCLB sent down really put a lot.
Well, and they're trying to fix it, right? They're
And
making
trying to
changes,
fix it,
and I respect them for
And I don't
that.
even agree with everything that
Uh-oh.
Obama's new race to the top is. But
Okay, we have to
Anyway,
go.
maybe
Here
next
is
week.
Susie Blunderful at the dump.
I want you to know that I love Susie Blunderful. Susie Blunderful is performed by Susan McGraw. She created it, she did the whole thing. It's a great bit, and I love it. But as you will see, as Susie Blunderful reports to us, there is a dump in East Hampton who can furnish your home for no money down.
We've brought you to an area that we hold very near and dear to us in East Hampton. It's the East Hampton disposal area. And everyone seems to be very busy at work, but they have something brand new here that all of you will be very interested in. Today's topic is how to decorate your house with absolutely no money down. One of the major items that we found today at the dump is a sofa. And Dave, if you'll come with me, we can show our viewers the beautiful sofa. We're not sure of the make, but it could be a Castro convertible. It could be from Lifestyles. Now, for all those people who are coming to the Hamptons and are moving in for Memorial Day weekend, we think this is a great place to start looking for things. Okay, let's look at this sofa. First of all, it's pale yellow. And it's very soft, Dave. It's nice and comfortable. It actually comes in two big pieces. So if you are inviting a lot of weekend guests, you'll be nice and comfortable all weekend long. And I wouldn't worry about getting it dirty if you have dogs or cats or kids, because it's already filthy. There are some shoes here, which pair of shoes for man and lady, and with all the hot spots to go to out here, you want to look fashionable, and these are barely even worn. I'll tell you, Dave, I might, take these with me. What do you think? What do you think, Dave?
It'd be a big addition to your wardrobe, Susie.
Yeah, well, I've been wearing these sneakers. Maybe I should just leave these here and take these with me. I bought these at Caldor's for $4, but on my salary working for this network, it's all I could afford. But hey, look, a pocketbook for women who have a lot of shopping to do in the Hamptons. This was donated by somebody. Now, what's so great about the salvage area is that ambiance is what counts.